Most people assume they know how a confident cat behaves around strangers. They picture the cat who walks straight up to a visitor, rubs against their legs, climbs uninvited onto their lap, and generally treats a brand new human like an old friend. That is the cat people call so friendly, or not like a normal cat, as if approachability and boldness are the only valid expressions of a cat who feels safe. But this understanding of feline confidence is incomplete, and for the majority of cat owners whose cats do not do these things, whose cats are more reserved, more careful, more selective about who they engage with and how, this incomplete picture has caused a lot of unnecessary worry, a lot of wondering whether their cat is anxious or fearful or somehow damaged, a lot of misreading perfectly healthy, perfectly secure behavior as something that needs to be fixed. Here is what most people do not know. The bold, immediately social cat is not the only expression of a cat who feels safe. In fact, from a behavioral standpoint, it is not even the most common one. Most cats, particularly those who have been well socialized to a single household and a consistent set of people, will display safety not through bold approach, but through a set of more subtle, more considered behaviors that are, once you know how to read them, just as clear and just as significant. Today, we are going to go through 4 of those behaviors, 4 specific things your cat may do when a stranger is present that are not shyness, not anxiety, not fear, but genuine expressions of a cat who has assessed the situation, consulted their own excellent judgment, and decided that they are okay, that the environment is safe, that the stranger, while not yet fully known, does not represent a threat. By the end of this, you are going to have a more accurate, more nuanced, and more reassuring picture of what feline safety actually looks like, and you may find that your cat has been telling you they were fine all along.
This one sounds so minimal that most people do not count it as anything at all. The stranger arrives. Your cat does not run and hide. They stay in the room, on their chair, on the windowsill, on the far end of the sofa, and they watch. That is it. They watch. And yet this behavior, this apparently unremarkable act of simply remaining present, is one of the clearest indicators of feline security that behavioral scientists have identified. Because to understand what it means, you have to understand what it costs. When a cat perceives a genuine threat, a new person, an unfamiliar presence, an intrusion into their territory, their first and most powerful instinct is to leave, to find high ground or concealment or both. The flight response is the default setting for a prey-keyed nervous system encountering something unknown. Cats who are truly frightened do not stay and watch. They are gone before the front door is fully open. The cat who stays in the room has made a decision. Not consciously in the way humans make decisions, but in the rapid, instinctive threat assessment way that the feline nervous system makes hundreds of calculations per minute. They have assessed the incoming information, the stranger's body language, their vocal tone, their movement patterns, the reaction of the home's primary occupants, and they have arrived at a position. This is not a threat. I can stay. I will monitor from here. Research from the Laboratory of Comparative Ethology at the National Institutes of Health has documented that cats in secure home environments show a significantly reduced flight radius in response to unfamiliar humans compared to cats with insecure attachment histories. The flight radius, the distance at which a cat chooses to flee rather than monitor, is a direct measure of how safe a cat feels. A cat who monitors a stranger from across the room is, in terms of that research, demonstrating a flight radius that is consistent with secure, confident behavior. The practical insight here is profound and often missed entirely. The next time a visitor arrives and your cat stays in the room, even if they stay on the far windowsill, even if they do not approach, even if they spend the entire visit simply watching from their chosen position, recognize what you are seeing. Your cat decided to stay. In feline terms, that decision is everything.
This one, when it happens, is extraordinary, and almost no one recognizes it for what it is in the moment. We have talked in other videos about the slow blink as the cat's version of a kiss, the voluntary reduction of vision in another being's presence as an expression of complete trust and safety. When your cat slow blinks at you, it is one of the most intimate communications in the feline vocabulary. But when your cat slow blinks at a stranger, at someone they have just met or who has visited only once or twice, what is happening carries a meaning that goes even further. Because the slow blink is not a reflexive action. It is not something that happens automatically. It requires the cat to be in a state of sufficient calm to voluntarily reduce their visual monitoring of an unfamiliar being. For a cat whose entire sensory system is oriented toward detecting and responding to threat, closing their eyes, even briefly, even partially, in the presence of someone new, is a choice that only becomes available when the threat assessment has come back clean. A 2020 study from the University of Sussex, which we have referenced before, established not only that slow blinking is an expression of positive emotional states in cats, but the cat's direct slow blinks at humans they have assessed as non-threatening significantly more readily than toward humans whose body language or behavior has triggered any level of alertness. Your cat slow blinking at your visitor is not a reflex. It is a verdict. This person has passed. I am comfortable enough to look away.
Watch for it in its subtler forms too, not just the full theatrical 3-second slow blink, but the brief soft closing of the eyes, the slight droop of the eyelids while the stranger is speaking or moving nearby. These are the micro slow blinks that happen in real time as ongoing assessment, and they carry the same message. At this moment, with this person in the room, I am not on alert. I'm okay. If your visitor knows to slow blink back, if they understand that this small, unhurried gesture is a greeting in the cat's own language, the exchange that follows can be genuinely moving to watch. Two different species communicating trust across a room in a gesture so quiet most people in the house won't even notice it happened.